thevoice17104.com. This is Zanetta Wingfield, and you're listening to thevoice17104.com. Thevoice17104.com.
You are now tuned into Real Rap on The Voice 17104 with Ron Chapel. Happens every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, you know who this is. It's your girl Niagara. Yeah!
Thank you, Chris Thomas. Good evening, everybody. Happy President's Day. This is Ron Chapel. How y'all doing? Welcome to Real Rap with Ron Chapel. I hope y'all are clocking away some presidents. How you doing, Chris Thomas?
Hey, God bless you, man. I'm doing well on this President's Day, man. Thanks for asking.
All right. Okay, y'all. Well, you know, there's been times when we've had presidents on President's Day. I think one occasion we had the president of Harrisburg City Council, we had the president of the NAACP, and a president from another organization. But tonight is you and I and Pastor Chris Thomas, the engineer. Okay, there's a lot to talk about. First, we say prayers, send prayers out to our good friend, Judge Sonia Baltimore. Sonia McKnight. Sonia McKnight, she wants to be known as. You know, we talked about her last week, Chris Thomas, about a story that was in the news. Okay, and now there's another story. And, you know, unfortunately, in this particular incident, somebody lost their life. And so we also sent, no one lost their life, I'm sorry, but someone was seriously injured. I understand. And we don't know the true facts behind what happened. You know how when they print something about something especially pertaining to black people, you know, they want to sensationalize it as much as possible. And so only Sonia McKnight and the victim really know what happened. We just wish her well, and we send prayers out also to the victim. And it's another message to people that we have to find other ways to deal with emotional duress. Okay, and so I'll leave that right there. So what's been happening? What's been happening in the news? Well, down in Georgia, in Fulton County, the district attorney, a black woman by the name of Fani Willis, has been called. Matter of fact, she took the stand voluntarily, Pastor Chris Thomas.
Okay.
One of the defendants, one of the conspirators in the election interference case down in Georgia, has tried to suggest that there was an inappropriate relationship between DA Fani Willis and also the chief prosecutor in that particular case, where there's 19 indictments against, including the one against Donald Trump about election interference, and that's calling Secretary of State Rapsenberger and others to try to get them to change the votes from Joe Biden to Donald Trump. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all have heard the case. And so anyway, they're trying to get Fani Willis kicked off the case, saying that there was an improper relationship, saying that she was prospering from hiring her boyfriend, who happened to be Mr. Nathan Wade, who's the chief prosecutor down in Georgia. They're saying that she paid him money and then she benefited from the money that she was paying him, which is totally against the laws, for that matter, in Georgia, Pastor Chris Thomas.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so anyway, they had made so many accusations against Fani Willis, trying to get her dismissed from the case in their hopes that the whole case itself would be dismissed. Well, I've listened to many of the legal experts that know about that situation, and they said, irregardless if Fani Willis is removed from the case, that doesn't mean that the whole case goes away, Pastor Thomas.
Okay.
The case will not dissolve. Now, what would probably happen is that the case will be assigned to another prosecutor, to another DA, possibly outside of that county, and then it'll be up to them to decide whether or not they want to carry on with the case or whether they want to drop the case altogether. Well, I'm, like many, hopes that Fani Willis is not removed from the case. I don't think that any evidence has been shown that she did prosper from the money that was paid to the chief prosecutor, to the chief investigator, Nathan Wade. And I further believe that in a relationship, Pastor Thomas, any member, either member can spend their hard-earned money any way they choose. Pastor Thomas, you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Now, there are many, many cases of shipboard romances, and you know that's nothing new. A shipboard romance might be like a co-worker romance, like you're working with someone and the two of you end up being emotionally tied to one another, and so you end up either going with each other and sometime either eventually marrying the other person. Now, it's my contention that if that happens, if one person in that relationship happens to make more money than the other person, and they want to treat the other person to something like, a good dinner or a night out at the theater, or whatever, we either help that person buy a car. Well, then I think that it's their prerogative, and I think that it's really their own business. But they're trying to say that there was some malfeasance with Fonnie Willis, and they, was saying all this stuff about her to the point where she was subpoenaed to come in and testify as if she was on trial. But anyway, so instead of fighting a subpoena to have her testify, she voluntarily chose to take the stand to defend herself. And Pastor Thomas, we have a clip there of DA Fonnie Willis on the stand, and so I'm going to ask you to play that now or as soon as you can.
So, news. Talk
Okay, excuse me.
about courtroom drama. It was better than an
Hold
episode.
on for a minute. This starts off with the ladies from The View talking about Fonnie Willis voluntarily taking the stand there in Fulton, Georgia. And so that's the lead in, but you will see Fonnie Willis on the stand. Okay, Pastor Chris Thomas, thank you.
So, news. Talk about courtroom drama. It was better than an episode of Law and Order yesterday when Miss Fonnie Willis, the woman prosecuting Trump, by the way, in his
Okay, what's the problem?
Georgia election fraud case, took the stand. She was questioned by lawyers for Trump's co-defendants about allegedly profiting off a romantic relationship with her co-conspirator Nathan Wade. Watch.
You and Mr. Wade met in October 2019 at a conference?
Maybe a copyright.
That is correct. And I think in one of your motions, you tried to implicate I slept with him at that conference, which I find to be extremely offensive. And
Okay.
it's highly offensive when they try to
Stop, Pastor
implicate
Thomas.
that you slept with someone the first day.
We're having problems with the video, and so I don't want to put y'all. Okay, stop it, please. So we don't want to put y'all through that. You can catch it on YouTube if you haven't seen the daily reports on it. But they asked some very, very personal questions of Fonnie Willis. I don't know why I keep saying Wilson. Fonnie Willis, and they were very, very intrusive and very, very disrespectful. And Fonnie Willis, DA Fonnie Willis, handled herself well. I think that she might have been a little too aggressive, however, on the stand, Pastor Thomas. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that might weigh against her in the decision that the judge in that case, who's sitting ahead of the hearing, the trier of facts, Judge McAfee, who she trained, incidentally, Pastor Thomas, in prior years, and he rose and got elected to the office of judge. He's overseeing the case. And so I think, and he's going to make the ultimate decision whether or not Fonnie Willis remains on the case or whether she have to be removed from the case. And also, I guess he'll also decide if the case will go on, and, a case will go on. Now, they've already got probably about 3 plea deals out of co-conspirators that have pled guilty to the charges of interfering with the Georgia election. And so, like I say, it goes, the decision will be that of Judge McAfee, the judge sitting in charge of that particular trial. Okay, and I do hope that he decides that there was no foul here. There was no foul here. There might have been some mistakes in judgment, but however, there was no foul here, and so things will go on as they were scheduled in motion before this hearing even came about. You know, I think that the main problem here, Pastor Thomas, that a lot of MAGA maniacs have, you know, with this whole particular case, when it, as it pertains to D.A. Fani Willis, is that here's a powerful black woman. Here's a powerful black woman that's indicted their hero, Donald J. Trump. And here's a powerful black woman that can help decide whether or not Donald J. Trump is convicted and ultimately sentenced to prison. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, these are state charges, mind you. Now, a lot of you have heard that a president has the authority to, okay, what's the word I'm searching for? To dissolve or Lord have mercy. He has a president to have the charges, to pardon himself. That's what I'm searching for. A president has the power to pardon those convicted in a court of law. But that's only for federal cases, Pastor Thomas.
Okay.
You know, he cannot pardon anyone, including himself, in a state case. And so these are state charges. And that's another reason why the MAGA maniacs are so upset that Donald Trump has been brought to court, being indicted by a black woman, a powerful black woman, Fani Willis. Okay, and so that's their main problem, I believe, with the whole situation. You know what? Let me speak to something else too. It's ironic, isn't it ironic, that the so-called party of law and order, that when we find that a member of that particular party is being accused of certain malfeasance and high crimes and misdemeanors, and when we speak out against that particular person, that they should not be committing those acts, and that they should be treated as anyone else would be treated, we are objectified and accused of hating Donald Trump. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
You know, they say things like, well, these people hate Donald Trump. No, it's not that we hate Donald Trump. I don't know of anybody that just flat out would say that they hate Donald Trump. I think that the consternation with people is that it seems as though this person, this ex-federal government employee, which is on the same level as a ex-mailman, this disgruntled ex-government employee, has been given special privileges and being treated unlike anyone else would be treated, you know, very, very unfairly, that he gets all the breaks. You know, he has the ability, you know, they've allowed him to, for instance, stand up in courtrooms and argue back and forth with the judge, you know, in another particular case, you know, and I would venture none of y'all to ever try anything like that, because believe you me, you'll be marched out that courtroom quick, fast, in a hurry, and put right in lockup. You know, you understand what I'm saying? But only thing that we want to see is that Donald Trump be treated like anyone else would be treated, Pastor Thomas.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir.
And I don't think that that's asking too much. I don't think that that's asking too much at all. You know, why should he be afforded breaks that no one else would be afforded, you know? And so anyway, I think that's the main concern that we have with the way Donald Trump has been getting all this special treatment. And I think also that another reason why the MAGA maniacs in the far right is so messed up is because of the question of white privilege. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas? Okay. You know, when Trump talk about make America great again, take things back to the way they were, that was when, you know, black folks and poor white folks and Hispanics to not have as many rights and liberties as they have now. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
And so I think that to them, Donald Trump is the figurehead for white privilege. And they're so afraid of the future, they're so afraid of where we're at now, where people tend to be more and more on a level playing field, than they were so many decades and so many decades and years ago. And I think that's their greatest fear. That's why, a lot of them are rallying behind Donald Trump, and they don't want to see anything happen to him. But I tell you, there's been a lot happening to him, through faults of his own. If you've been following the cases against him, and I think there's about 4 or 5 major cases, the man has been hit with more than 91 felonious counts, and these are not just something that these prosecutors have just decided to hit him with. These are things that he brought upon him, he brought on himself, and so now it's time to pay the band. The party's over, now it's time to pay the band. Chris, my late mother always had a saying that your past will eventually catch up with you.
Sure.
And so a lot of things that he did in the past, I tell you, they have caught up with him now, be he a former president or not. And so now it's time to pay the band because the rubber has hit the road. Okay. Now, there was another case that was in the news this past week. There was a judgment brought against Donald Trump, a judgment that was started by the Attorney General of the state of New York, another state charge, Pastor Thomas.
Okay.
The Attorney General, the Honorable Letitia James, a black woman, that brought charges against Donald Trump and the Trump Organization for tax fraud. Okay, and so what they found is that through so many years, they went back 6 years, and they found out that Donald Trump and the Trump Organization, including his adult children, they kept on saying in the news and the right-wing press, why is she going after his children? When you hear the word children, Pastor Thomas, you think of 5 and 6 year olds.
Sure.
You know what I mean? At least I do. But in this regard, we're talking about his 2 grown, almost 40-year-old, rusty adult sons, and also his daughter, who profited greatly by all the malfeasance of the Trump Organization and Donald Trump. And so to try to claw some of this money back, Pastor Thomas, Donald Trump was hit with a $355 million fine.
Wow.
A disgorgement fine. He had already been found to have committed fraud in previous trials before the same Judge Engoron. Okay, very, very prominent, very well-respected justice in the state of New York. And so Donald Trump and his organization was found guilty, and they were found to have enriched themselves by at least $355 million over the past few years. And a part of those fines would be to his 2 adult children, his 2 grown, rusty adult children, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. In that $355 million fine, they were assessed a $4 million fine apiece because of money that they also profited from with that organization. Now, and so of course, Donald Trump said that he's going to appeal that fine. He's going to appeal that judgment. Well, the way I understand is that for him to appeal that judgment, not only do we have to put up $355 million in cash, but that's with a 9% tax that New York has, okay, Pastor Thomas, and so really it really comes out to about $455 million. As I understand, while he's waiting to appeal his judgment, the interest goes up on the doggone amount about $1 million a week, about $1 million a week. And so he has 30 days to file an appeal where he would have to put that money, that same amount of money in escrow, same amount of money in escrow. And see, the thing about it, he's been disallowed to borrow any money from any banks in the state of New York, Pastor Thomas,
Okay.
or any bank that's connected with the banking industry in New York. And so he's going to have to go outside the state of New York. Now, here's a person, Pastor Thomas, who's been found guilty of frauding banks, in New York. And so the question is, which organization, which bank outside of the state of New York will be willing to loan him all the money that he has to put up for a bond? You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
And if he don't put that money up, he's got 30 days from the time of judgment. If you don't put that money up within 30 days, well then the U.S. Marshals, I believe it's the U.S. Marshals, are allowed to seize his bank accounts and then take that money directly from his accounts, Pastor Thomas.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Now, they've been saying that Donald Trump supposedly has $400 million on hand, okay? And so that's still not enough to put up a bond against the $355 million judgment. You might as well say 355 plus you throw in another 100 million, because of the taxes and everything, and so it really comes out to close to $500 million. You don't have that cash money on hand, and now you do have it in his assets, Pastor Thomas,
Sure.
which he's going to have to end up eventually selling something. And see, here's the thing about it. When somebody know that you really need the money, Pastor Thomas, and you try to sell something that you have, they're going to figure that it's a buyer's market. And so you will have a very, very hard time getting exactly what you want to get for that particular property. And so, but anyway, those are his problems. Those are his problems. These are problems that he brought on himself, him and his family, Pastor Thomas. And through all of that, the man is still, with the Republicans, a viable candidate to take the nomination to run against Joe Biden in November, Pastor Thomas.
Okay.
And see, here's a person that's been convicted of sexual assault, which was another case that happened to happen in New York that was settled, where he was found liable, and he was punished by being fined $5 million. He lost $5 million in a lawsuit against the woman, Pastor Thomas.
Wow.
And then he turned around and disparaged her character again. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Okay.
Slandered her again. And then he had to go back to court for that. And then he was hit with an $83 million judgment. $83 million. First it was $5 million. And then he had a rinky-dink attorney that didn't know her way around a courtroom. She had been interviewed before. And the interviewer posed a question to her. Would she rather be pretty or smart, And she said that she would rather be pretty because she could fake being smart. Well, apparently she didn't fake it well enough, because first the man was hit with $5 million, and when she got through, he was hit with an additional $83 million judgment against him, which I think he barely was able to put up the bond money to appeal the $5 million, and he's still working on putting up money for the $83 million. And then on top of that, like I say, the almost $455 million, which again, like I say, is his problems. And see, the thing about it, Pastor Thomas, you let one of us be charged with something like that, especially sexual assault, a sexual assault or income or bank fraud. We could not get a job at McDonald's.
Wow.
We could not get a job being a Walmart greeter. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas? Because once you put that on the application, or once the investigators find out that you were charged with something like that, or charged with even one felony. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas? And here's this man has been charged with over 91 felonies. You know, you'll be hard pressed to find a job anywhere in the country, anywhere, you know, where they'll pay you by check or pay you over the table. You know, you go out there, you probably go out there and find a job, you know, shoveling manure, being paid under the table, but you're not going on any company's records, you know, as being a bona fide employee, and you certainly won't be able to be bonded. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
And so, but anyway, but still, all in all, with all that, the man is still a candidate for president of the United States of America. And also, it's been found that with those big fines that I told you about, the judgments, the $5 million, the $83 million judgment, and now the $355 million judgment, he's counting on his donors, on his dumb donors, to pay off his fines. You know. Now, wait a minute. I thought the man is supposed to be a billionaire. I think he proclaimed to be a multi-billionaire, you know, a successful businessman, when in fact, just about everything that he had his hands in, every company that he had his hands in, ended up going bankrupt, you know, but still, you know, he say that he's a successful businessman and also a multi-billionaire. But he's got to depend on his dumb donors to pay up those judgments against him. You know, something just don't jive. That's not the end of it. You know, first, his supporters came up with a GoFundMe page. Pastor Thomas, have you heard about that?
No, sir.
You know, a GoFundMe page for a billionaire. No, go fund yourself. Spend your own damn money, Donald Trump. But, you know, besides a GoFundMe page, you know, which is bad enough for someone that's supposed to be a billionaire, he done came out with a line of sneakers. Okay, Pastor Thomas, I think we have an image of those sneakers that we're going to put up right now. Okay, these are the sneakers that Donald Trump has just started marketing. These full gold colored sneakers at a price of $399. You heard me right. $399. The so-called billionaire is out there hawking sneakers. Now, what's your thoughts about those $399 sneakers, Pastor Thomas?
Hey, it must be a market out there, brother. You know, if the man, you know, decided to, you know, started to produce those sneakers. I don't believe that bad looking of sneakers, not necessarily my style.
Oh man.
I mean, you know, I'm not a supporter of Trump, but I mean, not a bad sneaker in my estimation.
Okay, well, listen. See, I think first of all, I think that he's trying to play to young black folks, really, because a lot of them are into that loud, gaudy stuff like that. You
Sure,
understand what I'm saying?
sure.
You know, a lot of them like that loud, gaudy stuff like that. You know, and so, you know, I think that he's trying to get a sneak thing in there, trying to get young black supporters like the rap crew. You know that community, the rap community. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
You know, like they made a song. You know, who was the one that made a song about Air Force Ones? I think Nelly. Now, which rap artist gonna come out with a song about the gold trumps? You know, about the gold trumps. Do you have your gold trumps? I'm rocking my gold. Not me, because I would not. You know what? I never bought a pair of Jordans, Pastor Thomas.
You did?
No. Matter of fact, let me take that back. I bought some Jordans, the only pair of Jordans I ever had. You know, tell the truth and shame the devil. I bought a pair of Jordans from a consignment store. $75 for a pair of Jordans. I think they were Jordan 12s, you know, whatever they are, you know.
Sure.
And see, I don't even know all the categories. You know, I was wearing them one time, and some young kids, oh, you got a pair of 12s. I didn't know what he was talking about. You know, my foot is not size 12. You know, I didn't know what he was talking about.
Sure,
but these were Jordan 12s. And I paid $75 for them at a consignment store, and I felt bad doing that, Pastor Thomas.
Wow.
You know, I'm not into no $200 or $300 sneakers. I tell you what, I guess that's a status symbol for the younger generation, a pair of Jordans. And I used to talk about that and bust on that till I recall in my early 20s, our status symbol was a pair of $800 Gators. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Yes, sir.
Now, you remember we loved our Gators the same way these young folks love their Jordans. You know what I
Sure.
mean? But anyway, like I say, now here's a so-called billionaire that's marketing a pair of full gold-colored sneakers for $400 and change. For $400 sneakers. Now, who's gonna be the first one in our community is gonna walk around with some doggone $400 fool's gold sneakers? You know, Pastor Thomas. I'm pretty sure that they might end up buying some rap artists or paying some rap artists to sport them. Maybe Kanye. No, but Kanye got his own line of sneakers, Pastor Thomas.
Sure.
His own line of sneakers. And the last I heard, like I'm not a sneakerhead, but the last I heard, this sneakers cost over $1,000.
Right.
Over $1,000, And see, stuff like this, man, play to people that think that if they spend a lot of money for something, that to other people, they're only doing that trying to impress somebody else.
Sure.
Trying to impress somebody else who really don't give a damn about them in the first place. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
Because if somebody care about you, they don't care if you got on a pair of $400 sneakers or if you got on a pair of doggone $8 sneakers. $8 sneakers from Dollar Tree. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, not from Dollar Tree, probably from Dollar General or probably from Family Dollar. Who care about somebody with a pair of $400 sneakers? And probably look at them like they're a doggone fool. Here you got on a pair of $400 sneakers and you out there waiting for a cat bus. Now, how do you justify that? How do you justify that? You walking in the mud, in the rain, in a pair of $400 sneakers, and you don't have a car. You don't have a car. I guess what you have is a Chevrolet. You shove one foot in front of, and then lay the other one. Huh? I think that the joke goes something like that, one way or the other. But anyway, Chevrolet. But anyway, so that's what a presidential candidate is doing, marketing $400 sneakers. Is he marketing them to you? Because he sure ain't marketing them to me. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas? And if I want a pair of $400, if I want a pair of full gold sneakers that bad, Pastor Thomas, you know what I would do? If I wanted to wear something like that, I'll go out and buy me a can of gold spray paint. Gold spray paint. And I make my own gold colored sneakers, But anyway, that's the way of the world. That's the way things are right now. Like I say, but this man, he's got so many doggone cases against him. He got so many cases against him. And another case is in the news now, where the court date has just been decided. The trial start date is March the 25th, and that's a so-called hush money payment case, Pastor Thomas.
Okay.
And a little bit about background of this particular case. Right before the last election, the 2016 election, there was a story that was going to come out from this porn star, Stormy Daniels, and there was another porn worker, Carol McDougal, and so these two ladies were going to break this story, spill the beans, saying that they had affairs with Donald Trump. At that time he was just a candidate, Donald Trump, candidate for president. He was a Republican nominee. You know what I mean? This one he ran against Hillary Clinton. And so they were going to spill the beans about that. But what Trump did, what his organization did, they paid these women off. They gave them some money, thus the term hush money. They gave them money so they would not spill the beans, because they think that would, if they did, there would be an adverse effect on his candidacy. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
Surely the so-called evangelicals will look down on him, because after all, when these incidents were supposed to be happening, his wife, his third wife, Melania, was carrying, excuse me, y'all. Let me get some water.
This is Kiana, and you are listening to Real Rap with Ron Chappell on The Voice, 17104.com.
Yes, yes, yes. It's your boy Sincere.
Thank you, brother.
Here live with Ron
Thank you,
Chappell.
brother.
Tune in every Monday.
Okay, folks, so during this particular time of these alleged affairs, Melania was carrying that young boy Barron, was carrying his younger son Barron. And here he was off being a trick, with some porn stars, Pastor Thomas. Wow. And so they had one of them, Stormy Daniels is her name. His Donald Trump's main attorney at that time, a fixer, where if somebody was trying to take Donald Trump to court to sue him for something on his property or whatever, he would turn it over to his quote unquote fixer, Michael Cohen, who has since turned against him. So he had Michael Cohen pay Stormy Daniels $130,000. Excuse me, $130,000, and made her sign a ND non-disclosure agreement, NDA, to keep the story under wraps, and thus Trump went on and ran as the Republican nominee for president, and ended up beating Hillary Clinton and became the 45th president. Now here's the really deal about the story. You hear a lot of people, talk about this tagline, hush money payment, hush money payment. Why is it such a big deal? Because Donald Trump was being a trick, and he paid off a porn star, Pastor Thomas. Wow. Okay, but see, it goes a lot deeper than that. And this is what it really was. What it really was, and you hear him cry all the time, thinking people are trying to interfere with his election. I mean, with this run for office. This was election interference that he was doing. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Right.
These payoffs of these porn stars was election interference. So just about everything that come out that man's mouth is deflection and also confession. Many times you hear him saying that all these court cases are coming on him now and they are election interference. Well, no, first of all, these court cases are result of his own actions. And justice is not going to stop just because somebody intend on applying for a job, Pastor Thomas. Right. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So he called all this stuff election, and moreover, the only reason why he even entered the race in the first place, Pastor Thomas, is to be able to scream out election interference. That's why he became a candidate, just so he can use that lie, election interference. Okay, well, no, it's not election interference. It's your past catching up with you, and now you have to answer for the things that you've done. Okay, and so, but anyway, like I say, so don't be misled when people want to make a big deal talking about let's see, you paid off a porn star, and so what's the big deal? Hush money payments, what's the big deal? The big deal is that this was election interference. Election interference, how, Ron Chappell? I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you how. Good question. Here's a good answer. It was election interference because this particular knowledge about these affairs while his wife was pregnant was kept from the voting public, Pastor Thomas.
Wow.
So that interfered with the election because had this came out, a lot of the evangelicals, who want to, a lot of them want to feel, so religious and stuff like that, they would not have voted for him. They would have voted against him. They would have looked down on him. They would have weighed and judged his character as not being suitable to sit in the office of the presidency. Not for this country. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that was in fact. So every time you hear hush money payments, consider this election interference, And so that's what he's being charged with. That's what he's being charged with. Matter of fact, understand, all total is like 34 felonies. About 34 felonies that he's been charged with, in that particular case. Now, these are not charges. It's a classification of a felony in New York, Pastor Thomas, where I understand the maximum penalty is 4 years. It's 4 years. But even though the maximum penalty, I don't know if that's 4 years per charge or 4 years total, but nevertheless, four years for someone his age, is still like an eternity. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas? And so, as a matter of fact, speaking about that, the person that's running against him for the nominee, Ambassador Nikki Haley on the Republican side, she had made a statement today is that if she won the nomination, if she was elected president, she would pardon Donald Trump, okay? She would pardon Donald Trump from the federal charges that I ain't even spoke about yet. You understand what I'm saying? Sure. Like stealing and possessing all those highly classified documents down in this Mar-a-Lago compound. You understand what I'm saying? She said that if he was found guilty, if she was president, she would pardon him because, excuse me, she don't think America wanted to see an 80-plus-year-old ex-president in jail. Well, I'm gonna tell you, there's a whole bunch of Americans, I don't think they would really give a damn. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Yes, sir.
Because we saw the so-called America's dad in jail, Bill Cosby. I think Bill Cosby was like 81 years old when they locked him up. You understand what I'm saying? And so, regardless of Trump's age, if he's found guilty, I think that he should pay the price that anyone else would pay. If justice is truly blind, And so anyway, like I say, this man's got so many cases, that if you were a parent, if you had a child, and they had a friend that was getting in much trouble as this guy's getting into, I don't think you let your kids play with that particular child, with your Pastor Thomas.
Probably not, sir.
Probably not. Talking about a bad influence. Now, how can someone like that dare to have the unmitigated gall, the audacity to think that they should sit again as the President of the United States, or the President of the United States? And who are these doggone nitwit bozos that are out there supporting this man, Pastor Thomas, And so anyway, that's the state of affairs right now. The state of affairs is going on right now. You know what? I started the show talking about the predicament, the case involving our friend Sonia McKnight, Judge Sonia McKnight. And we don't know the outcome. I don't think she's I don't think there's been a pretrial hearing yet. You can look in the paper or either look on the internet and find out when that hearing is supposed to be. I don't think there's been a pretrial hearing. But if these charges are brought forth and if there is a subsequent trial, I think that the Judicial Board would probably move to have her removed from office, Pastor Thomas. And if so, if there's a special election called for that particular seat, well, I tell you, right now, I want to suggest and endorse a young man that was on our program running for that particular seat the same year that, same term that Judge McKnight got elected. And that's Mr. Leon Wilkerson. Leon Wilkerson, Pastor Thomas?
I believe so.
Leon Wilkerson. Leon Wilkerson, if you can hear me, if there's another election for the seat that Judge McKnight is suspended from, I think that you would be a viable candidate to assume that seat, and so and you have our full support here. Full unsolicited support here. You were very, very impressive, with your presentation when you came on the program and when you campaigned for that particular seat. And so it may be time Okay, and the screen just went dark, Pastor Thomas. Okay, there he is right there. Leon C. Wilkerson. Leon C. Wilkerson. Yeah, this was May 18th, 2021. That was the election. Okay, thank you, Pastor Thomas. Thank you. So Leon Wilkerson, I think you know, you'd be an ideal candidate to assume that seat. You know, and let's see, there's some other people. Pastor Thomas came on the program, or perhaps Ellis Roy. Ellis Roy, I think he also ran for that seat, Pastor Thomas. Ellis Roy, and you know, but anyway, and a few other people, and so that might be a special election being called for that particular seat, and I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't hear that there'll be a special election for the seat currently held by Councilwoman Asha Green. Is she still seated, Pastor Thomas? Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, we talked about the accusation, the charges that were pending against her and a family member, and so you know, we still haven't heard from her or her campaign, and so we don't know what's happening in that particular case. I don't know if she's been arraigned yet or not, but anyway, there may be a special election for that particular seat, and if so, I want to suggest someone that's been on the program before, and not just because these people have been on the program before, but someone that's been trying so much to be in a position to support the residents of Harrisburg. I'm going to suggest our friend Anthony Harrell, Pastor Thomas.
Okay.
Anthony Harrell for Harrisburg City Council. Okay. And also, you know, speaking of that, there's with the election, upcoming election, the 103rd legislative, 13th, I went way back to Detroit, Michigan. The 103rd legislative district race is also on. And we had an interview that's posted on my page as a memory interview. We had a young man that was quite active in the community, and he was running for that seat once before. And I think it was a pretty good interview that we have that's posted on the Ron Chapel page, a memory interview, and that's Mr. Kevin Maxon. You remember him, Pastor Thomas?
Yes, sir.
Kevin Maxon. You might also want to consider stepping back in the race, you know, because there are two different legislative seats right now. You know, there's the 103rd, and I believe there's a new one, the 104th. Okay, and so anyway, and also I believe there's a congressional race, Pastor Thomas.
Okay.
You know, a congressional race. The city congressman right now is, pardon me, Scott Perry. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
I say pardon me because he's one of the ones that was involved in the insurrection that also snuck and went to then President Donald Trump seeking a pardon. You know, he was seeking a pardon because he knew that his actions were unlawful. So, pardon me, Scott Perry is running for re-election in Congress, and I think they've changed the voting districts. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
Where he was getting heavy votes from York and from Perry County. I think, you know, the state legislature did some redistricting, and I think now Harrisburg residents have a fair chance of having serious input in deciding who sits as congressperson for that district. And I know former Harrisburg City Council member Shemaine Daniels, the Honorable Shemaine Daniels, is running for that seat. And so I look forward to the time when there will be a debate. I think that Scott Perry dodged her the last time they opposed one another in a debate, but I think this time the public is gonna damn near demand that there be a public debate between Shemaine Daniels and Scott Perry, you know, to represent that congressional district here in the Harrisburg area. And so anyway, like I was saying last week, we're getting into primary season. There's a lot of seats on the ballot, And so if you feel like you want to step up and step out and support your community, be a viable instrument in your community to help the residents of this area, well then consider the seats being offered and go to the election commission and get your ballots and wait till they say you can start circulating your ballots. And also, like I said before, emphasized before, Pastor Thomas, start saving your money. Start networking now to get your supporters and start saving your money, and look forward to paying some people. Look forward to paying your campaign workers, because after all, you're vying for a job that's going to pay you. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
And so it's only right that you be prepared to pay people that are going to help you get that particular position. I think that will say a whole lot about your character. I think that will say a lot about your character, Pastor Thomas. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So anyway, that's something for some of you aspiring politicians to consider. And while I'm at it, let me say shout out to my best friend in the world, Eleanor Harrison. Eleanor Harrison, I wish you well. And also actually say a prayer for my pastor, A.J. Briley Sr. He's in rehab now, over a medical situation. And so we do wish him well. And Pastor Thomas, you got any shout outs you want to give?
Big shout out to all of our viewers, all of our listeners, all of our supporters, to our broadcasters. There wouldn't be a platform if there wasn't you guys. Big shout out, to the Ron Chappell Show, big supporter of the Voice 17104, almost a decade now. Again, words fail us, man, just to show our gratitude and appreciation. So thank you guys so very much, to listeners, the viewers, and to the broadcasters who support and help keep us on the air.
All right. Yeah, ditto. Also, news, the Ron Chappell Show, Real Rap with Ron Chappell, Monday Night Chapel will be moving to a new address here at The Voice, 17104, because of some situations here at the station. We don't know if we will continually be on Monday nights, and this has been our home for so long, but we may be moving to another day, and it may even be earlier in the day, okay? And so I wanted to say that now. I know some could care less, but anyway, if I don't want to just up and leave without saying how much I appreciate those of you that have supported us over the years, those of you that have shared the videos, those of you that have commented, and I just want to say that I appreciate y'all very, very much, and those of you that have been on the program, throughout the years, where we tried to feature people, Pastor Thomas, from all walks of life,
Sure.
the so-called common folk and the so-called uncommon folk, many politicals, many entertainers. Harrisburg has some of the best comedians. And as a matter of fact, incidentally, we had one comedian that was on the program a few times, Pastor Thomas, and not just because the comedian was on this program, but by the comedian's own talent. They now are a very successful YouTuber, Pastor Thomas.
Sure.
They have constantly had over 1 million views on their particular YouTube offerings, and that's comedian Jamel Peterson. So we say congratulations, and we wish you well. And Jamel Peterson was one of the stellar, funny comedians that had joined us for the world record-setting program, Monday Night Chapel. No, not Monday Night Chapel. Forgive me, Lord. For the Comedy Explosion, Pastor Thomas. Pastor Thomas, see, that's why you got to be engineer and / producer also, because you was gonna let me go through and say Monday Night Chapel, and it's the Comedy Explosion. You see, a producer would say, no, this is it. But anyway, the Comedy Explosion, where we had 10 comedians on one stage at the same time, Pastor Thomas, and everybody checked their egos at the door. Nobody tried to upstage anybody. Nobody got mad. Nobody got angry. It all went on well, and we had 10 comedians at one time, and it's never ever happened anywhere in this country, Pastor Thomas.
Sure,
You see what I'm saying?
sure.
Yeah, and these are some of the comedians, and there's Jamel Peterson right there. Jamel Peterson right there.
Worldwide Loud.
And Lau, Worldwide Lau, who went up, this was the first program that he did. This was at the other station, and he ended up going on tour over in London. We've had a lot of people that have come on the show that have gone off to do big things. We have the very, very funny Tate Joseph, who was adopted by the Wayans brothers. Yeah, there's a flyer from the Comedy Explosion, and that was back in 2015. I think that, that's one of our first flyers for the Comedy Explosion. And so that went on quite well. We had Niagara P.A. Femsey, she's the one that does the introduction for the Real Rap Ron Chapel show. She was with us live in studio, and we had a whole lot of fun. And so, like I say, and there she is there, Niagara P.A. Femsey. She's a singer, she's a dancer, she's a rap artist. As a matter of fact, and so those were some good times. That was at the first studio. This is what, Pastor Thomas, the third or the fourth?
Maybe the fourth, sir.
Probably the fourth location. So, like I say, we'll still be at this location, but we'll be at a different time slot. And we'll try to bring you some intriguing programs. I believe if we do the program earlier, and there's a man, Jeff Stanton, and our boy L.A., he was also the bodyguard for Jamel Peterson, and traveling companion, and he's also quite a photographer. And so anyway, maybe when we do the program earlier, we'll be able to have a better chance of interviewing some of the local movers and shakers here in Harrisburg. But we've had a lot of people on, and those are a lot of the comedians. There's a former DJ here, Johnny from The Voice 17104. It's Pastor Chris Thomas, and these are some of the other comedians that was with us on the world famous Comedy Explosion, record-setting Comedy Explosion. Okay, so the clock on the wall, y'all, says that's about all. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. And as I say, I don't know if we'll be here in the same time slot next Monday, because of some behind-the-scene reasons, but we hope to be back. And so I thank y'all for taking the time for being with us this evening, or if you're watching the video, if you're watching the video at a later time, please comment, whether it's good or bad, give us some constructive criticism. We are always open for that, and we appreciate that. And so, for Pastor Chris Thomas and Pastor Melissa Hall Thomas, and what's your baby daughter name? What's your daughter name?
Melina.
And baby Melina Thomas, okay, owners of The Voice 17104.com, Internet Radio, The Voice of Harrisburg. This is your brother, Ron Chapel, saying peace, stay safe, and good night.